Okay. Let's start. All right, we are live, supposedly. Hello.
Hey.
Hello, everyone. This is our Catskay.
Fuck.
There you go. So yes, I'm joined by an illustrious group of mostly Swedish men and feral. So yes, it's.
Wait, did
yes.
you just say I'm not Swedish, or did you just not say I'm a man? Because I'm going to take issue with that.
You know what? I'm not going to specify. How you choose to dissect my sentences is entirely up to you.
Remember, feels over reals.
It's kind of like a Rorschach test. Like how you interpret that sentence will determine what side of the political spectrum you're on. Okay. So I have not been on. I have not been streaming on my own channel in I don't know how long, because I've been over on the Gatriarchy forever. So you're all gonna have to forgive me. Oh, by the way, let's everyone tweet about this. I know, like, you're all none of us are particularly big Twitter people, but we should probably try to make sure that some people besides the people in my subscriber base
might see it.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if someone, just literally anyone, saw it. But so yeah, okay, I'm just copying the link myself. So forgive me, whoever is actually.
It's okay.
Okay, so everyone tweet like your life depended on it.
Yes, I'm gonna tweet even though I don't have any followers.
This is a matter of life and death. Tweet, god damn it.
Okay, I'm getting some echo here. Hold on.
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
I forgot to mute. I was like, damn, everybody's getting loud.
Okay, so I have tweeted, and yes, we have 2 viewers. Hello, viewers. Welcome.
Hello.
Please tweet, do anything, like make a circle in the sky, or yeah, you know what? Any kind. If I'm making a call now. Any kind of ritualistic, pagan kind of ceremonies that you want to perform in a way to increase the viewership of this channel and its podcast, I am not only down, I encourage you to send those videos, particularly if
I'll go get the loincloth.
Particularly if clothing is not involved, although I reserve the right to like or not like it. That's up to you.
Dude, that's okay.
But yes, hello everyone. We are here. We are mostly queer. Is it who I actually don't like that word, but it rhymes. But I think we have one non-homosexual man on this channel. At
2
the moment,
actually.
Right? That's you, my other friend from Sweden, correct?
It's 3 faggots and 2 straight guys.
Oh god! If we weren't already
like a real bad porno, but anyways.
Oh my god! well, okay? So someone just needs to provide some alcohol, some cheesy royalty-free music, and you know. No, you can't just break right into that. Like, no, you have to have like some sort, like, what kind of a mood is it? Like, are there costumes involved? Is there bad acting, or are we just going straight to the pants?
I'll get the Crisco.
Yeah. Also good. All right. So, all right.
This morning I'm already cracking up. Anyway,
yeah, it's always a great sign. But okay. So again, now people are watching. So. We'll just pretend like the beginning didn't happen. I'm Arkatsuke, Feral J, my friend GGTOW Beserker, also known as Nifantes or just Victor. And our guests tonight are starting a new nerdy Swedish podcast, Dead Red Herring. Please introduce yourselves.
Well, I'm Roland.
And I'm Magnus.
And we have started our podcast, Dead Red Herring. We're doing it in English, and it's more or less just us trash talking stuff related to nerddom, I guess.
Oh, okay. That I have to say that is a very avant-garde format. Nerdy men trash talking nerdy things on the internet that they may or may not like.
Original, right?
Well, no, I mean I'm serious. I mean, like you are really, even David Lynch might be afraid to go into these territories. Like I myself am far too cowardly to go out into those places. I just go on YouTube and talk about penises and other random things, just whatever I think about. And I do it behind an avatar of an animated animal. So I am also 100,000% original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always
But
thought you
then
were
again-
a furry.
What'd you say?
I said I always thought you were a furry.
Oh God, no! I am. I am hairy. I will give you that. At the end of the day, besides the avatar and the fact that I have a lot of cats, but too many. Magnus, Roland, you should just know now. I have 8 cats. I'm a crazy cat lady. My husband and we have a Chihuahua.
No. You're a crypto lesbian.
I am not a crypto. Okay, yes, I guess I could be a lesbian, other than my complete revulsion for anything. Well, actually, I like fish. I just don't like vagina. I'm not that great about. I'm not that great about breasts. I find women's personalities kind of grating and off-putting. So minus that, I'm all about the lesbian thing.
Magnus, Roland, I'm going to go ahead and warn you guys. Katz is really bad about stuffing his emotions and not telling you how he really feels.
Well, my friends and I really just going to have to restrain myself, because we all know how famous the Swedes are for their incredibly energetic and emotional presentations. As seen, I think the best example of that would be, I have to bring it up, Ingmar Bergman's The Seventh Seal. When Max von Sydow plays chess
with false advertising, I didn't see a single seal in that movie.
You know what? There are the seal is clearly on the passion, like just the simmering raw intensity in every. And actually, I'm making fun of it. It is one of my favorite movies, but definitely not. It's not exactly like a Hispanic telenovela where everyone is just like morque. That's not even a word. That's not even a word, but it works.
That's what you think.
I know. Actually, in truth, all dialogue on telenovelas is really just a matter of a name, whether it's the character's name or another character's name, and the emotion behind it.
Well, have you ever watched those telenovelas? I'm wondering, how do they find all these actresses that all of them have a very conspicuous mole right where you can see it? I mean, did they have someone paint those on or what?
Actually, it's fake.
I'm pretty sure they are fake.
It's like their lucky mole, take it out of a case.
Yeah. It's like a Hot Shots 2 where they just trade it between each other.
That's actually the reason that they all have that is it's very sad. It's a burn mark from the sniper laser, which is just permanently on them, making sure that they stay on time.
You don't fuck with the cartels, Issy.
Have you ever wondered, seriously, have you ever wondered how they managed to replace these actors so quickly? Like the recasting, 1 minute they're there, the next minute they're gone.
They're all plastic, so it doesn't really.
Act, pendejo, act.
Maybe they're not really acting. Maybe they're just terrified of being shot at any. Well, actually, that is a lot like what I mentioned.
Hey, that would explain why they're all so fucking hysterical all the time.
Yes. My mother's gonna kill me.
I'd be hysterical too.
My mother is actually Hispanic. She's not Mexican. She's. Well, it takes 30 minutes to explain where she's from, actually, but she's very.
It's a lot of enchilada and something else.
It's like Spain via South America up through Mexico, back to Cuba and back again. It's all European, but not in Europe. It's anyway.
Hyper immigrant.
There's much human sacrifice involved, at least in your genealogy, so to say.
Well, the biggest problem
more Spanish.
Not so much. The biggest problem with keeping our genealogy straight on that side of the family was that Grandpa was very much a storyteller, and every time we asked him where our family came from, it was usually different. So we're not exactly sure which ones are real and which ones are not.
This could be like
be
when
from
I went through
Poland.
finding my family history. Pretty much, there's some points on there where we don't really know. We just have lists of suspects.
Hmm.
No.
Oh well. Well, it's actually kind of like a Scandinavian phenomena here to actually, well, particularly into Norway and Sweden, to actually know your family history at least 5 generations back. It's kind of like our thing. I'm not sure why. It's actually really important into Swedish culture, especially in the countryside. I mean,
I'd say most cultures are very fond of keeping, or not fond, but it's a pretty central part of cultures.
yes, but how does that relate unless you are like, unless you don't want to have like inbreeding? I mean,
That would be a good reason.
Yeah, but
I'm from Arkansas. We encourage that kind of thing.
yeah, kind of where I'm from too as well. Värmland. That's kind of it. Yes.
I can also add to that one, actually, because the thing is that even though we may look pretty alike, it's a bad cam here, but we've been accused for being brothers a couple of times. The thing is that we're not related, at least not any near relation, but we might have a common ancestry from the same part of the country. So, yeah.
Yeah, that actually includes me because, yeah. My genetics are actually from the same region, from the very, very beginning, at least from my grandmother's side, is from that area where Roland is from. And also, I have very, very strong links to a very, very small village in Värmland, which is a western part of, as far west as you can go within Sweden's borders, if you go straight to the west from Stockholm's point of view. So, yeah. I'm kind of inbred. I actually kind of say that I'm inbred from 2 angles. First, my mother's family, and then my father's family.
So it's like a super munch, but inbreeding.
So you're all descended from a common spore. I see it.
Don't make me go wog on your ass.
Oh no! Oh no! Well, here, let me try to have a semblance of format. So I have listened to Dead Red Herring, and that is one of the reasons why I am trying in my own anemic fashion to promote it, because I am. The link is in the description for anyone who cares to check it out. These guys are
hilarious.
They really are, and not just because it's a funny thing. In American culture, we often portray Swedish people, or not even Swedish, but like Norwegian, and I keep going to specifics, all Scandinavian people as these sort of lovable, not doofs exactly, but eccentrics, because they have this cartoonish accent and this, unusual way about it. We think of the Swedish Chef or Rose Nyland.
I mean, it's actually kind of accurate. I mean, if you look at the Björk, for instance, the Icelandic singer.
Oh God.
Okay, now
yeah,
are we actually confirmed that Björk is human? First off, I just want. Are you sure she's not like a wood elf or something that just wandered out?
Damn synth.
Well, then just check out Britt Ekland. That famous Bond chick who nowadays lives in New York. She's kind of fabulous, and she actually made soft porn movie soundtracks in the 70s as well after her career finished after the Bond movies. So yeah,
which
were
one
kind
is
of
this?
weird. Britt Ekland.
I'm not even going to try to spell that, but that's
Britt Ekland.
Oh, okay. See, everything sounds pretty in Swedish, but you can't actually spell it until you hear it said like a dumb American. Because when I hear Victor say it, and by the way, the point I didn't get to before was that Swedish people, in my experience, are actually not exactly like that, because most Swedes speak better English than most Americans, but they're so damn self-conscious about it.
Well, part of it, Katz, is you have to remember that our official language here in the United States is 3rd grade English.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that really American vernacular English nowadays?
It depends. It depends.
It's like English for stupid people.
Honestly, the biggest one of the weird things that's happening in American English, I don't know if this is happening in British and Australian English, but there really is kind of I know that there's always been class divides in language. That's just, you know, the way it is. People with access to more education or want to appear to be more educated talk a certain way, and people who don't. For whatever reasons, good, bad, whatever. Not judging, but it seems like language in America is separating almost. I don't want to say ethnically, but like there are a lot more splinter groups there are a lot more English demographs now than there probably ever used to be. I have been accused of being one of the most offensively Caucasian people you'll ever talk to because of the way I talk. Well, my father's a doctor. He was a nerd. I'm a nerd. And so I had this very kind of precise, very, you know, it's just a very white guy kind of way of talking. You will not confuse me for...
Actually, we have this way of actually separating those who speak Old Swedish and those who speak modern Swedish. Roland can actually get into this. If you use the word dock, as if dock. Yeah, dock. I mean, how should I translate that, Roland? I mean, I'm not sure.
Dock. It's sort of like although, maybe, sort of. However, it's like one word for all of those, depending on context.
Yeah.
I actually use it.
Oh, but we speak Old Swedish, come on.
Yeah. Proper language.
Yes. Less slang, less Rinkeby's Swedish, more pure Swedish.
You'll find this funny, maybe, but in America, like, you tend to judge like how good someone's English is by how much they sound like British people. That's the standard in America, because Americans have this idea, and I freely admit it's not necessarily always very accurate, that British people are sort of the standard when it comes to English.
It's actually kind of funny because we're taught British English, but when it comes to practice, we speak mostly American because it's a lot easier for our language to actually switch to American, since it sounds a little bit more like Swedish-ish.
And I think that's also why we also apologize a lot for our English, because we've been taught the British version, but it doesn't sound the British, so it's like, oh, I'm sorry for my bad English.
I never thought about that, but yeah, every Swede I've ever talked to does sound actually you have a very American vernacular and accent when you speak.
It's because of all the fucking movies.
Well, there is that. I think that certain forms of British English are very... I really love listening to them, and a big reason for that is because one of my first TV shows that I ever watched growing up that I loved and watched with my dad was Star Trek: The Next Generation. So, of course, Patrick Stewart, who makes English... I mean, if we all sounded like Patrick Stewart, the world would be a very interesting place. I would love that. And, you know, at least half of the aliens were British actors. So, you know,
technically 7 of 9 is Swedish. Technically, she is.
Is she?
Really?
I thought she was.
Jerry was one of my favorite characters.
Wait, Jerry Ryan is Swedish?
No.
You're talking. That's
right.
You know what? That is.
I had forgotten completely about that.
Yeah, you know, it's the reason it's a cop out is because origins for characters on Star Trek are completely and utterly irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Basically, almost any detail about their past is completely irrelevant, except if it's something specific like a heart valve, a fear of something, or like but as far as like, you know, where they come from, it doesn't matter because they're all LA actors. They all sound the same, they all look the same, and you'll hear that they're from...
Well, the fun part is really that she was Borg, and then she became human again. Mm-hmm. And if you think about it, Swedish society is kind of like the Borg society. We are the Borgs. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, except the whole assimilation part, because that would be too offensive.
I think American culture... I think American culture actually used to be much more Borg-like back during when the melting pot was actually a thing that people took more seriously.
Yeah. Oh well.
But yeah, her
character kind of have like weird accents and dialects. I mean, Roland, for instance, used to get a really strong dialect from the south, and it sounds pretty awkward for a Stockholmian, for instance, to listen to them. So even though Roland speaks perfect Swedish, he perhaps cannot be understood by people from like the north of Sweden or from the middle Sweden, so to say.
Yeah.
It's kind
And
of funny.
that's also a funny thing because my girlfriend has problems hearing what I say sometimes, but she's learned. I'm trying to teach her proper Swedish. That means my dialect.
And I'm sure she loves it when you call it proper Swedish. Also, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Because if there's one thing that all women across all cultures share, it's a love of being corrected and being told where they are wrong.
Absolutely.
Women are very reflective. You know, they're very self-aware. They don't get into the petty emotions, and they're not fragile. You know, they can take it. Oh God! There's a little bit of yeah. I can smell the spice coming right off of this.
Besides, I mean, when your girlfriend asks
to lead her all the way, that's
what did you say?
What a woman needs is a firm hand. It's like, someone to put her in her place whenever she needs it.
And are you saying that the men of Sweden are going to give this firm hand to the women?
We kind of do.
We have a lot of new Swedes that doesn't really seem to be bothered by it. So, can I say that?
What can you say? I don't know. The European Union. Well, wait, is Sweden part of the European Union?
Yeah,
yes,
it is. Sadly.
Oh, so you're also affected by that crazy Orwellian copyright thing and all those hate bills and everything that will be coming out. Well, just so you all know, like if any of you get arrested for bullshit hate crimes, which I do not support, I will not pay your legal fees.
Thanks.
Here we were hoping that
I'll hold a bake sale.
Cavalry and Steve our asses,
but
we
had a connection here.
we do have a connection, but what I don't have is money. Because I live in the most expensive part of California that isn't inhabited by celebrities, the Bay Area.
Well, that's actually a thing. That's actually a thing, Kat. And I think Roland and Magnus can actually agree on this. Swedes have this unhealthy obsession about California. In our culture, we kind of wish that we were living in California, but then we realized we kind of live like in hipster Alaska. So
it's funny because I just despise that thing. I never understood it. I don't even want to go to California. God.
So I will tell you this, as someone who has lived most of their life in California, it's a beautiful place, and it's one of the most beautiful places in the entire world. I literally just got back from the Sierra Nevadas today. My husband and I took a last-minute trip up to Lake Tahoe, just because there's no color. Lake Tahoe?
Yeah, I thought it actually was made up.
Oh goodness, no!
Even I knew that was real.
No, it's one of the jewels of the West Coast. It's like 50 miles of the deepest sapphire blue you've ever seen, surrounded by snow. It's literally one of those places that's so beautiful. You could go there and literally say, like, I don't care what part of the world you're from, this is this is beautiful. But it is very hard to get there. Not hard. You can be there in a few hours, but it goes on and on and on.
Oh, well.
Why did I bring? Oh, anyway. Yes, California is beautiful, and there are a lot of services here that are good. But the main problem with California is the government is incredibly overbearing.
It's SJW heaven, so come on.
Yeah, it's just
it's not heaven. It's that other one.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can tell me whether this sounds like Sweden or not. Like if California is sort of because California often wants to model it. It's funny you talk about how Swedes want to be like California, but Californians, at least the state government, really wishes that it was a Norwegian. Right? I keep saying Norwegian, a Scandinavian country.
Well, come on. I mean, if you go like into San Francisco, for instance, the Castro area was actually built by Finnish and Swedish people. So
really, a long time ago when we had culture here.
The
Castro,
Sweden.
but I mean, it's kind of like this. When it comes to, well, you try. It's kind of like. Yeah, that's cute.
I know.
What the hell are you doing? It's kind of like that when we actually realize how Californians are actually doing are actually trying to model themselves on Scandinavia, because it's kind of like a mishmash between different, like it's some sort of like Finnish there, Swedish there, Norwegian there.
California,
all over the place.
One of the reasons California is so strange is because it's a very large country, state. I believe California might actually be the size of Sweden.
Yes,
probably larger, but
actually we are slightly larger.
but we can use more of our space because I know a significant part of your country is up in the polar bear region. We don't have polar bear.
Oh, that's so racist of you.
I know, it's so racist against polar bears. Well, no, I take it back. There is also that the world's oldest tree that they found up in northern Sweden somewhere. Old Tjurgård or something. I don't remember his name.
I think it's called Chico.
I don't know. It was old something with a TJ. I don't know what. I don't know what kind of barbarian sees something is like, oh, let's put the letters T and J together. That's completely logical.
Actually, the TJ equals CH in English.
Then why don't you just say CH?
Because we're Swedish.
But what? I'm just trying to understand where do you see?
Cats. We actually have 23 different chi sounds.
Why do you need so many chi sounds?
Because it's an old language. Get educated.
It's true. I have roasted Victor so many times about the fact that I love Scandinavians. I really do. But I also believe that you are all descended from, let's just say, a certain amount of hereditary lunacy. Just because I'm still struggling when I'm picturing your earliest ancestors, and they think, okay, look, it's warm and a lot of trees and everything and plant life down there. No, let's go to the northerner part where it's really, really, really cold.
Yep.
And I mean and there's always, let's put this, there's always one in every bunch, like the weirdo who's out there in the middle of winter, like in a t-shirt. That I guess that's you guys. So there you go.
No, that would be the Finns.
What?
That would be the Finns. We at least have some kind of shirt on.
You have like a stylish scarf that you picked up at IKEA.
Yeah.
I actually have a theory about this whole people going north thingy, and it actually goes with the kind of spirit of Swedes. The whole thing that we don't really want to have people too close when we stand in line or sit on the bus.
It's like space bubble.
They started out in the south, and it's like, no, it's getting a bit too crowded here. Let's move up a bit. Less people, less crowd. More space. People came after, and then it's further and further because we don't want to have anyone around.
I actually think we can actually put it like this: feminists try to actually say that safe space is a thing. Scandinavians invented it thousands of years ago.
So you're saying that Sweden is the original safe space?
Yeah.
No, you know what I think? It sounds more like, I don't think it's, maybe not the safe space, but I think it's sort of like you're saying that like Swedes, Norwegians, Finns, you're the guys that go to a movie theater when it's, and you see the seats filling up near the centers, you go all the way to the back row in the hope that no one else will come there. But
actually, that's kind of true.
There's a lot of space. You can relax.
Now I'm starting to wonder if I might have some Swedish ancestry or something. That's
also the whole
I would do.
The whole space where no one should be is within the length of the arm and a knife. That's kind of the measurement.
The arm and a knife. It's that knife part which really sells it, I gotta tell you.
Well, that's kind of like enforcing it, though, if you think about it.
So so even though they're not historically accurate, is that perhaps where they got the idea of the Vikings with those ridiculous horn helmets, because they thought like that's another great way to keep people from getting too close to you?
Oh no, that was Wagner.
No, that's a German idea from the Romantic era. It's like, oh yeah, sure, let's make this painting a little more awesome. Let's put horns on the helmets.
Well, leave it.
Never mind, that'd be easy to grab and just be horrifically stupid in battle.
Well, we'll leave it to the Germans.
I think most Swedes are actually annoyed by that whole imagining.
Yeah, I know.
So here,
plundered.
Yeah.
So So here's a nerdy question for you three Swedish nerds specifically. Farrell, you can't answer this one. So y'all have seen here. I've stolen something from Farrell. But y'all have seen the Thor films. So what? Gotta tell. What aside from whether you liked the films or not, who is breathing super heavily? So, okay, someone was masturbating. I don't know.
It was Farrell.
Farrell. Put it back in your pants or send me the private footage. Either way.
Let's see those hands, Farrell.
See them.
So what is your
I'm gonna go get my invisibility burqa.
Hey, why is it all sticky?
Hey, it's supposed to be black, not white.
Under the black light. So what was your reaction as Swedish people to Asgard specifically? And like this sort of like
it's kind of cute.
First of all,
strange and kind of offensive.
Let's start out with this. Heimdall.
Yes.
You know, my husband.
I love Idris Elba and his acting and all of that, but it's like,
but why?
Why that part?
That is a question that many people have asked.
It's kind of like I like the design of those flying ships over there because it kind of reminds me of home, but at the same time, it's kind of like, why on earth would you do it like that? And
I agree.
Now, to be fair, though, like we can't blame this all on Disney or whoever because actually the one who created Asgard and the Thor comics and everything that we associate with that was Jack Kirby. And between possible mental illness and so many drugs, like oh my god, drugs, like enough to make what is the one Richard from the Rolling Stones. Keith Richards. I couldn't remember him.
It's him and the cockroaches after the nuclear war.
Yes. So I think Kirby was definitely getting his supply from the same place.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Keith Richards' best work, though, was when he played the role of Hoggle on Labyrinth. I'm pretty sure that was his best role.
Actually, when it comes to, like, I mean, the only thing that's kind of correct when it comes to the whole Thor movies are actually Svartalvarna. What did I call it in English?
The Dark Elves.
Yeah, Dark Elves.
That's funny. The least popular film was the one that gets it there closest.
Yeah.
But
actually,
I mean, the whole imagining of
Loki is actually kind of accurate as well in how he's portrayed. Kinda-ish.
Kinda.
Yeah. Ish.
And of course, there is a certain amount, of adaptation since the Asgardians in this one are aliens and not actually gods. But still, I'm there with you about some of the. I remember my husband first commenting about, we both love Idris Elba. He's a fantastic actor. But there was the question, why is he Heimdall? And apparently he didn't particularly like being Heimdall that much either, which is part of why they killed him in
and that's the thing. I mean, here's actually one of the things that actually disturbs me a lot when it comes to like the inclusive leftist narrative. It's okay to actually destroy and totally distort ancient cultures that have been existing far longer than any SJW can ever imagine, even longer than the Communist Manifesto. But it's not okay for
we don't talk about things before
blackface.
I know it is. So
that's kind of weird, and especially when I mean, since I'm a mythology and history nerd, I actually became furious when they were actually talking about making Thor into a girl. I was actually furious because I mean it's
there's no talking. They did it.
Yeah, they did actually. And speaking of one thing. Thor, that's actually an extremely masculine name in all Scandinavian languages. So that's kind of like, okay, well then you are Americans. You actually name any girl into a man's name if you want to. You just change the spelling. However, that's not possible in Scandinavian languages. So
Thora isn't the name.
No, not Tora or perhaps Toruld.
Because I asked because I always there's the American actress or was I haven't seen her in 1,000 years, Thora Birch, who I don't know anything about her ancestry, but I just assumed that she was of some. I mean, the way she looked pale and proportionately built, so I assumed she was of some sort.
Well, I mean, it's
so just because someone's pale and proportionally built, they have to be from the Nordic countries. Oh my God!
Well, no, but if they have the name Thora, I mean, like that's not.
They might be Icelandic.
Okay, yeah. She was pale, shapely, and had a very Valkyrie-sounding name. So I assumed, perhaps incorrectly, that she was descended from a common stock.
Yeah.
I
would actually love to see like a horror movie. Well, I'm actually kind of writing a cricket pasta because of this. I'm actually want to see like a horror movie based on Scandinavian mythology or Slavic mythology, because when it comes to like horror theme, it's kind of badass, especially Slavic. That's nasty.
I liked your creepypasta that you sent me, but I believe that it would be best in your language. I think that it would lose the thing that makes it most powerful. I think it would be, and again, maybe I'm just because I'm a Bergman nerd. Like I love listening to, I just love listening to Swedish, particularly with abstract backgrounds. Because that's basically every Bergman film ever is either it's either Liv Ullmann, who I know is Norwegian, or some other shapely, like anonymous Scandinavian looking woman, like just staring into the camera with no background, just like black and white, and she'd be saying like, "I saw God today. He was a spider. Then he kissed me, and then I wanted to die."
I just have to make a point about Ingmar Bergman.
I think you told me this. Yes.
Yeah, I did.
Here comes this Scanian dialect.
You with the real R's in the back.
No, it's Bergman.
Bergman.
Oh, we are really getting nerded here.
I think actually the only ones that really appreciate his movies are foreigners. Most Swedes, unless you actually discard the
cultural elites.
Yeah, I was about to say that. If you discard the cultural elite, I don't think Swedish people in general have that much of an interest in Bergman.
I mean, yeah, it really depends on your background. I mean, my family, but then again, my dad is what we would call ett original in Swedish. That would be an extension.
Okay.
Yeah, he actually loves Bergman, and all my father's side on the family loves Bergman as well. So I mean, I kind of grew up with these movies. That's kind of why I got your little jokes, cats. Yeah. So
would you say they're fairly close?
Well, I mean, it's actually really, really close. It's I mean, Bergman has this thing that he can actually, sure, he can grasp the whole sort of like Swedish gloominess in the mentality and in the moods, etc. But when it comes to like different situations, he kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem with Ingmar Bergman, not his art, which I thought was lovely, but I think he himself was a man that was born before antidepressants were widely available. And I think, good Lord, he could have used them.
Well, he was the son of a preacher, so...
that explains a whole lot.
Religion, a repressive culture, chronic depression, like
alcohol,
the being married to Liv Ullmann,
women.
I just said that because I was in the. I know nothing about Liv Ullmann. She could be a very lovely woman.
Liv Ullmann, she is known as an oddball, even here.
Okay, so I'm glad that it's not just me thinking that these are strange people, but
then again, Norwegians are always weird. Well, it's kind of like this: either they're really super cherry, or they are really, really awkward, like depressive ghosts or something.
You told me they're also very horny all the time, or at least
they are extremely.
Well, they live in a cold country. They need to huddle up, have some.
They live in a cold country.
That's the thing.
Okay, so Norwegians are crazy mountain people, Swedes?
Yes.
Ah, I just made a new word for you. I'm calling you Swedens now.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. We actually kind of want to quote South Park on this. It's not a real country anyway.
Victor has told me that Norway is to Sweden what Canada is to the United States. A friendly neighbor who you sometimes like to rile, poke, or just say terrible things about, but it's still funny.
And when it's kind of like this when Danes, Swedes, and Norwegians gather, like 3 people per person. Actually, it always ends up with the Dane and the Swede are actually kind of like bullying the Norwegian into submission and kind of like, okay, we're gonna take this part, you're gonna get this part. So everyone happy? Good. I get lots of oil, you get lots of fish and oil, and we also get some oil too. That's good.
It's really weird.
Why are you doing this?
See, it's just really weird for me to
Because we
think
can.
It's weird for me to think of Denmark as being an aggressive country because at least I know. Here's the thing, and this is where lack of cultural appreciation comes into it. Because when an American looks at Denmark, they think, "What the hell is that tiny little like pipsqueak of a country going to do?" But of course, you're saying that the Danes are a unique people, and I've definitely seen that in the way they're handling their refugee crisis, which I have to say is interesting. I kind of like it.
You can actually compare. I mean, sure, Roland comes from former parts of Denmark, so I mean, he kind of has this aggressive mood as well. So it's kind of known that don't piss a Dane off. That's kind of known. Because they are the ones who are gonna beat your ass up.
Would you say that they would deign to beat your ass?
Yes. Oh yes.
That was
really aggressive compared to like other Scandinavians and even Finns. Finns are just that silent, creepy guy that's going to silently kill you in your sleep.
But will he
ask the Russians about that one?
Yeah.
Oh wait, no. I guess the Russians are the one that would beat you and then have sex with your corpse.
You can actually compare that Finnish people are kind of like Jeff the Killers of Scandinavia.
Of the Scandinavians.
Yes.
A reputation which I'm sure they thrive on.
Yes. Yes.
We actually have an in-joke about Finland.
Ah, yes.
About the old man named Pekka.
It's super old winter war super soldier Pekka. He's like sitting at the Russian border and sharpening his knife arm.
Just waiting for the Russians to come back.
Oh my god. They sound like the crazy Texans that wait by the border for illegal immigrants from Mexico with their shotguns and their lawn chairs.
Creepy.
Yeah, just sitting there staring at you.
Yeah, Texans are much more bombastic than that.
Yeah. Well, Roland, can you Roland and Magnus, can you just follow me on this?
Mm-hmm.
If I describe the different Scandinavian countries like this, Finnish people are like that creepy yet harmless dude that you've seen that is your neighbor, but you never really talk to, but suddenly you just randomly catch up in a conversation with, and it turns out that they're kind of nice. That's Finnish people.
Yeah, before the alcohol.
Yeah, and then we have the Norwegians. They're kind of like, oh my god, can you just shut up? We know that you have a sex life. Come on, it's 3 a.m. And then we have. Then we have the Danes. The Danes are kind of like that neighbor that you actually accidentally picked into his window and saw him in full kinky gear. And now everything just suddenly became awkward, even though they're super nice and offer you cupcakes all the time.
But you're afraid of where those cupcakes have been.
Yes.
Well, sort of, I guess.
Have you guys, before I completely forget this, I wanted to ask, have you guys ever seen the Finnish film Rare Exports?
Nope,
never heard of it.
You should. It is. My father and I watched it. It is a Finnish, at least I believe it is Finnish Christmas horror film.
Oh yeah. I know. I've never seen it.
You really should. It has elves, like really creepy, like Scandinavian style elves, like you were telling me about. They all look like they look like miniature, hairy, full bearded men running around like eating people. And
that's actually technically Betsy or goblins, but yeah.
Yeah, and they also apparently find the original Santa Claus. I don't know if you actually see. I don't remember if you actually see him or not, but he's a terrifying creature. And if I were, you should definitely see it. I think you would like it.
Actually, you know that Krampus movie that came out?
I love that. I love that movie.
Yeah, that's kind of true how Scandinavians portray Santa Claus-ish and Christmas around it.
I like
that's kind of
accurate. I like
we're
our
kind
Santa
of raised
Claus
with.
Also, we had before Santa Claus was a thing here. We had the Christmas goat.
Yeah, it was actually Krampus that was giving us presents, not Santa Claus.
The goat was giving you presents.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, was it?
You came
What
in
was it?
drunk, and if you were naughty, you were beaten.
Yep.
Huh? So most of the presents that a goat gives are not that great. I got to be honest. Did you know that when
It has many things to offer.
Did you know that when a male goat is sexually mature, the way they entice themselves to female goats is by urinating on their beards?
Yes, I know.
You see, that for an American that would be a jaw dropping, but I forget. Like you are all from a country that actually has animals around, and I know Victor, you are from a farm, so you know that kind of stuff.
Well, technically, they sound like Danes at a kinky club, and that's actually.
Are you saying? Do you speak from personal experience, Victor?
Yes, I do. I was actually a member of a fraternity called SLM, which is called Scandinavian Leather Men. You can kind of figure out what that means. And we were actually always having this kind of parties called Bastille or Bastille in American English. And well, when the Danes arrived, it was kind of like, oh God, did we really have we covered all the room in something that we can wash?
Who invited the Danes?
Yes, here comes the Danes, and
who invited these people?
Well, it was kind of like we just called when the Danes came, we just referred to the room where they were hanging out as the pigsty, which was really what they were doing.
You have such a different experience of Danes than I have.
I still might have to visit Denmark. That's you know what? I have not heard about any Scandinavian country that I would not want to visit. So far it all sounds quite nice. I must say.
I think Farrell cracked up.
He never.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Now that we've made the rounds of various Scandinavian mythos, sexual proclivities.
Don't get me started on the Icelandic people. They're just goddamn weird. Think of an entire nation with Björk, and they actually got a penis museum. For real. Funded by their government.
Yeah, the image of an island populated entirely by Bjorks, it makes me very happy that the U.S. is a nuclear power.
Don't worry, they have volcanoes. Nature's trying to sort that out.
I mean, what kind of people, like, why do you keep going back to an island that has been repopulated from the ground up 3 different times? I don't understand.
It's like sitting in the back of the bus, you know? It's kind of you want to sit in the front, but there's people there, so you go to the back.
Yeah. They're not. No, that's not even sitting on the bus. That's going to the back of the bus and hanging onto the rack that they attach the wheelchairs to. But
you gotta hand it to them. They actually got pretty awesome names for their volcanoes, which Americans always slaughter the pronunciation of.
Well,
but anyway,
that's our national pastime.
Well, you know what?
Try this. Eyjafjallajökull.
Yeah.
Eyjafjallajökull?
No. Eyjafjallajökull.
Okay, clearly they're just...
I think that's pronounced, I ain't even trying.
Well, it's just... You know that, those early voice synthesizers, like voice-to-text synthesizers that your computer used to do back in the AOL days? Clearly, it was extracted from the Swedish vocal palette. Moving on. Those are not words. These are not people making those noises. I refuse to acknowledge that. Oh my god!
Living in denial.
Yeah, what? It's a lovely river, and I see no reason to leave it. So, Magnus, Roland, like we've been, talking about Bjork and bombing various countries, penises, various bodily fluids, like all normal,
like you do.
all normal for my channel, I must admit. But why don't you tell me about your channel? Like, tell me about your relationship with each other and what made you guys want to start another podcast and to put your particular flavor on the confection of the internet.
Well, where to start? We got to know each other while we were both getting an education in blacksmithing. So we're actually both blacksmiths.
Really?
Yeah.
All three, actually.
So
yeah. Okay, sure.
Awesome. So you all three are actually metal as fuck.
Actually, yeah.
I mean, if you get right down to it, that might actually be the elusive triple pun. But
well, actually, I'm technically an apprentice still, but
close enough. I do not need your semantics.
There's no need to be anti-semantic.
If there's one thing we do not tolerate on this channel, it's anti-semanticism.
I can get behind that.
Mm-hmm.
Just let me get that fancy uniform from somewhere middle, what is it, 20th century Germany. They had style.
Sweet uniform.
With a big spiky G on it for grammar.
Oh, gee. So instead of the dreaded ends those that we shall not speak of, I wonder what.
No, you need the N as well, but you just put grammar in front of it.
But it's instead of a grammar Nazi, I do wonder what a grammar Viking would be like.
Oh God!
Would that
be a bit like Conan the Librarian, I would think.
Oh yeah, sort of like that. I think
it would be an interesting skit. I must say,
that can be like John Wilkes Booth.
Instead of waiting for people to speak incorrectly, would that be the person that breaks into private book groups, clobbers them over the head, tears their manuscripts out, and say it's all formatted incorrectly?
And then right.
Well, it wouldn't be clubs; it would be axes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See, like kill 2 or 3 people on the way in, then yell a bit about it, and then leave, but really, really pissed.
Possibly with the librarian also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If the librarian's good looking, it's like, yeah, you're coming with me.
I really want to see the grammar Viking now. Like, there's a whole world of different kinds of grammar, like the grammar ninja, the one that breaks into your home when you're asleep and edits your manuscript without you knowing.
Goddamn grammar ninjas.
Oh God! No, there.
Actually, I think Roland can actually get this since you went to university. You know this gender theory crap that's all out of the place here in Sweden nowadays because Brandy are from California.
We're sorry. We're not. We are not responsible for what Berkeley does.
Well, no.
Y'all are practically patient zero.
9 out of 10 of these people are actually in this kind of like university or college called Södertörn in Stockholm, which explains a whole lot of why they're actually doing this.
Anyway, high with scum and villainy.
Yeah, and they're actually having this program for becoming a librarian or an archivist. And that's kind of like, that explains also about why they're actually into gender theory-ish.
Is this
they're
the
all
Berkeley of
frustrated
Sweden?
librarians with no sex life.
It's not the naughty librarians of porn that are just waiting for a well-played book to turn.
No, I would actually kind of want to say, to put this into a Swedish saying, de har spindelväv i fittan. They got cobwebs in their pussy.
You ever heard of an Egyptian tomb?
What did you say? What was that, Roland? Or
You ever heard about an Egyptian tomb that hasn't
Yes.
been open for like thousands of years?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Oh my
Only
God.
curses.
Oh,
combat promise and a lot of curses.
so to put it in the parlance of Stargate, which I'm totally not watching.
Okay, I have to go full Indiana Jones for this one. All right, proceed.
To put this in the parlance of Stargate, which I'm totally not binge watching for the last I don't know how long. You're saying that a librarian's pussy is like a sarcophagus.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
no, not the sarcophagus. The Egyptian tomb as a whole. You know, there comes people, usually men, going like, "Hey, I need to explore this," and then end up cursed.
Yeah.
You know,
dying horribly, painfully.
Oh, by the way, have you Stargate? You know what Swedes read when we see this Stargate logo? Stargate, because
say it again. Stargate.
Stargate.
So what does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah, the A with
nothing.
That's a letter in Swedish, so it becomes like what?
It's funny that you say that though, because that kind of sounds like the stereotypical way an American would imagine a Swedish person saying it. Oh, my favorite show is Stargate.
Yeah,
I know it's not a real one, but it does sound like something that we would imagine you would say.
Actually, it sounds like if someone were trying to do a retarded Norwegian.
Really?
Yeah. More Norwegian than yeah.
Oh my God.
Maybe Icelandic, I don't know, but it's something like that.
So we're getting we're here. This is good. We're veering towards nerdy territory again, not just random sexual absurdism.
Invader Zim, anyone?
Oh, I love Invader Zim. But how many of you have seen Stargate, SG-1 or the movie?
It's actually my favorite TV series.
Oh, I
one of my favorite. The Stargate SG-1.
So you know what? Here I have neglected my duties as a nerd. I've been too concerned with being a random homosexual. Now I have to grill you in the trials of nerdology. So I have to judge you now. So we have to ask the first and most sacred question that every nerd of science fiction must answer at one time or another in their life. You know what it is, don't you?
I have a suspicion.
Kirk or Picard?
Oh,
Picard.
That is the correct answer. And now I've lost half my subscribers.
I have a good friend, and we have a heated argument about who's the best Star Trek captain, so to say. He thinks that Sisko is the best.
Sisko is a unhinged lunatic. He's very.
I'm actually gonna have to confess something, and I'm gonna sound really like a feminist pussy here, or feminist fitta, really.
Janeway.
I like Janeway.
I like Janeway as well. I think actually Voyager is sort of the best.
It's underrated.
Yeah,
very underrated.
It is underrated. So here's my personal cosmology of Star Trek, which of course is the only true cosmology, and all others shall be rejected. Star Trek: The Next Generation is the overall best Star Trek. Period. Then there, as far as overall quality, of story complexity, it's Deep Space Nine.
I can agree on that.
Because the writing on Deep Space Nine, the complex characters, the darker tone, all of it never been done before. Half the stuff that we actually know about Klingons comes from there. Religion in Star Trek. The first and only 10-part story arc in Star Trek ever to be done. So yes, I'm going to give it to Deep Space Nine on that one. But TNG is the spiritual heart of Star Trek. Yes, I know it started with the original, just like I technically started as a spermazoa, but we don't really care about this. We don't. In the original, it had a lot of things, but it was the 60s, and well,
it was weird.
It was very weird, and it would have been a lot weirder if if it had been reined in a bit. Voyager. So Voyager was good. The only problem was that Janeway was. I really like Kate Mulgrew as an actress, but I feel like her character was very foolish and sometimes dangerous, just like Sis. In the same way that Sisko
really
would actually
naive.
use biogenic weapons on a planet to make a point, and the fact that Janeway would rain down Borg nanites on like potential, against another species. Like, they both made some really bizarre decisions. But Janeway,
like you wouldn't.
Well, you know what? I'm not a Star Trek captain.
Let's look at Hillary. Come on.
No.
No, that's not fair.
I will say this right. I will boot you from this channel if you ever compare Janeway to Hillary again. Like that is not fair to Janeway at all.
No, not at all. First of all, you can like Janeway.
You could be reasonably sure that Janeway is she's probably not going to kill you. Probably.
Second point for me, at least, is that Janeway is a human.
There's that.
Janeway had a much smaller body count.
Unless you're talking about shuttlecraft, though.
The shuttlecraft's only job was to get people stranded. Everyone knows this.
Well, my favorite thing about Voyager, and why it also incidentally cannot be one of the top Star Trek shows.
And I see my fiance naked. That's great.
Oh, the turn. No, actually, no. I'll be demonetized. I'm not monetized, but I don't know what will happen. But I'm pretty sure, as much as I love penis, it's not supposed to be on YouTube. Unless it's a forbidden. No. For some reason, we can see a lot of vagina. I always found that rather hypocritical that you can see a completely naked woman, but the moment you see even a flaccid penis, like all of a sudden the censor's like, "Oh my God, there's children watching here." Oh God, how did I go from Janeway to that?
Janeway to flaccid penis.
It's all in your head,
well, actually, you know what? That is mean to Kate Mulgrew. Did you know that her children, the actress, will not watch Voyager? They resent her for being away for so long that they won't watch the show that made their mother most famous. I think that if they were my children, my husband and I both agree, I would slap the shit out of them.
Watch you ungrateful tarts.
I worked for 15 hours memorizing Shakespearean-style techno-babble to bring money on the table, and you won't even watch it because I missed your party.
You ungrateful,
mommy dearest.
One moment. Talk amongst yourselves for a second, please.
Yeah. Well, actually, to continue answering the original question about how we got started, in my perspective, at least, it was that I want a place to rant about the whole special situation that nerdom finds itself in.
The recent climate in nerdom.
Yeah, it's way too political. It's way too divided and way too PC for my taste.
Yeah, same here.
Okay. All right, I'm back. Sorry for that.
So it's just that I just want to be able to have the alternative to most nerdy podcasts and everything where they're so worried about being PC to fit in. So I want to provide the alternative for the non-PC people to come and I can relax here. I can relate.
So I take it that Wizards of the Coast is not going to be sponsoring you, right?
No.
Oh boy,
no.
Are they going to be building an elaborately colored and iconography attack helicopter?
Maybe.
Are they? Yeah, that is the greatest and worst thing about being a relative lack of success on YouTube. I'm thankful for every single one of my subscribers, but by YouTube standards, of course, I'm basically a single-celled life form. So the censors have not yet noticed me. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure I would have been scrubbed along with a bunch of other people. So there's something to be said for being a anonymous single-celled organism. That they're not going to come after you with the harsh alcohol, not yet. But then if you drink too much of that harsh alcohol, you can scrub yourself, and that's not good either. Okay.
There's a reason why we record everything in a basement.
Yeah.
So I feel like bringing this back to more nerdiness, for a second, because we just didn't finish the Star Trek. The Star Trek, but
Oh dear, oh
Yeah.
dear.
I think that we all can agree that Enterprise, the first couple seasons weren't great, but it ended too soon. Would you say?
Yeah, I
I
agree.
never made it past the first 2 seasons.
You know, you really should. I never did before, but it actually got to be pretty good. T'Pol is probably my favorite character, even if she is just Vulcan 7 of 9. But
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I made peace with that. And there's a lot of well, anyway, from my perspective, it's great because there's a lot more male nudity on that Star Trek than any other. And for once, actors that you actually want to see. But I think we can also all agree that Discovery is not Star Trek.
No, it's not.
Nope.
That shit cannot be tolerated. The Klingons look like fucking lobsters. Somehow Klingon went from being
insulting lobsters here.
It's just it looks like someone took like the original Klingon. And yes, I understand that Klingons changed quite a bit from the original series, kind of without explanation. But you know, it was consistent for a lot longer, and they retconned it. But to not even bother to make Klingon, and yes, I know that also that the Kelvin timeline, you know, the JJ verse is responsible for that. But they made it even worse on Discovery. I don't know how they did, but somehow they did. And they took a language that sounded vaguely kind of, it didn't sound like Viking, but it sounded like something Vikings might say. And it made it sound like Aboriginal or something. I don't like the way it sounds at all.
It sounds actually pretty much like a drunk Icelandic person who's trying to speak Navajo.
Oh my god.
Sounds pretty accurate.
I can't. It's the only good thing to come out of that is that it inspired me on the necessity that I have to make my own science fiction universe, since apparently SJWs are going to poison every other science fiction universe that I love. Thank God they can't go back in time and edit Babylon 5.
Well, that kind of worries me about the whole SJW and sci-fi thing. It's like they are almost utterly incapable of coming up with their own stuff.
Well, they are. Well, they're in a sense they really are like the Borg, not just because they tend to try to take over every group, but because, like the Borg, they can't actually create anything. They can only take what others have done before and change it to suit their own structure.
What I found really deeply troubling is really that they totally misunderstand or mistranslate nerdom and fandom in general, because they see perhaps that it's a male lead, but they can perhaps don't see that, okay, but women can be just equally badass in a nerd mind.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So like if you take if you just take the Alien movies, those are my favorites, by the way. I mean, Ripley. I mean, who on earth would want to replace Sigourney Weaver when she was badass in those movies?
No one.
I mean, no one else could actually carry the whole character like she would.
Well, maybe Mila Kunis.
No,
Yeah,
not even close.
That was not a serious suggestion.
Perhaps, what's her name? I actually kind of like that movie, and now all the anime faces are gonna go like a rampage on my ass. Ghost in a Shell. What's her name?
Oh, Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, thank you.
Scarlett Johansson is better than Mila Kunis. But
yeah.
I mean, that's not. I love Mila. I actually do. I really like Mila Kunis. Like, I think she's like a genuine. I think she seems like a really sweet, likable person. I'd probably love to spend time with her. I just don't want to see her.
She's Ukrainian Russian. Come on.
She's very good in comedy. I mean, she's pretty and funny, and she's not stupid. I like all these things, but she's not a great actress. At least not outside of certain very specific kind of roles. Or maybe she just needs a really good director, not the Wachowski brother sister things.
Siblings.
Whatever the fuck they are. With that horrible Jupiter Ascendant.
I actually like that movie.
How on earth can you like that movie? It is nothing but incoherent CGI and a story that makes.
Come on! I actually like
that's modern movie making.
Well, I actually kind of like the sort of say the scenes and the artwork and ish. I kind of like that kind of aesthetic.
It's pretty, but it doesn't make any sense.
To me, it does. But then again, I like Atlas. I like Jupiter Ascending. I actually like Luc Besson. for some reason.
I like Luc Besson too, and most of his movies make sense. But Jupiter, I'm not letting you go on this one. Jupiter Ascending made no. It has wolf shoes.
It doesn't have to. For God's sake.
She's a reincarnation because she's a. They drink the what?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Sure.
Bad Viking.
It's when it comes to the art of the movie and all the scenes and all, it's kind of nice. I like the concept of the movie, but the script is shit.
Yeah, it's
the
like
plot is.
But then again, I actually kind of mostly like watched Channing Tatum. So
if you want to see hot dudes with lots of CGI backgrounds, like I don't know, watch like 3D porn. Like that's better use of your time. I mean, like, but you can't justify a movie that's pretty but makes no sense. Otherwise, Lost in Translation would be a good film, and it's not.
Well, to me it does. Okay, but then again, I'm actually autistic, and yes, I have it on paper for God's sake that
don't blame your do not blame your disability for liking that movie. This is on you.
Autism is not a crutch.
There is
internet super.
But it does make sense to me.
Oh my God! So many things. By the way, that thing I sent you, it's actually not headphones. It's a bomb now. I wasn't sure if I was going to have to use it, but
be careful, or I will send you surströmming.
You send me what?
No. That's going way too far.
Fermented herring thing.
Oh God, fermenting herring. Yeah, the only exposure I have to herring is drinking drinking. Yeah, I'm totally drinking it. No, I'm eating wine pickled herring, which are fairly common. It's a very common Jewish snack. So, and I was exposed to it from a friend of a Jewish family I used to be friends with, and I like the way it tastes. But I can't imagine what herring tastes like otherwise, because I only know what it tastes like when it's pickled in red wine.
It tastes like what you would presume a vagina tastes like.
Ew.
In my taste buds, at least.
Ew. Again, ew. I don't know. It still can't be worse than oysters. I don't understand what people find so fascinating about that.
No,
they taste like textured snot.
I just think that oysters looks like a clitoris, and
they do look like a clitoris,
and taste like that samarin. I'm not sure if you have it in the US. It's kind of like from if you got not heartburns. What is it called?
Heartburn.
Yeah, heartburn that you drink, and it's from a powder. It kind of tastes like the same.
But then again, if we really look at it, why do you think they actually started collecting oysters?
True.
Because they look like something they recognize. It's like, hey.
You see, I imagine the first people that got oysters was a bunch of kids running around the ocean, and they thought, like, "Oh, these are really hard rocks, and they smell like shit. Let me throw them at my sister."
No. Oh, look, it
smells like you do.
I don't know who was the brave or retarded soul. Can I say that word? I probably can't. That ate the first oyster. But you always wonder about whoever eats the first weird food.
I bet it was a dare.
Was it a Dane? Actually, that's a good question. Like of the Scandinavians, which was the first one to eat oysters? Do you think?
Actually, here's a fun thing. When it comes to Danes, they have the least weird food in the whole Scandinavia.
But no, I'm saying which Scandinavian, like stereotypical Scandinavian, would you say is the weird, brave soul that ate the first oyster?
Norwegian.
Iceland.
The Icelanders. If you're going to live on a volcano, and if you're going to live on a volcano,
they actually eat poisonous, rotten shark. For God's sake.
Oh, I forgot about that. Okay, yeah.
That's metal as fuck. Come on.
I don't know if that's metal, if it's just a cry for help, really. that just makes you wonder, why?
It's better than starvation and better than cannibalism, I guess.
Is it? That's a serious question. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, you don't get the shakes from it. Come on.
Mm-hmm. The fact that it's poisonous makes me really wonder. I don't know. But then it's like the Japanese with their puffer fish and
blowfish,
jellyfish, and I don't know. I guess it's the edible equivalent to Russian roulette. It's like
we have a similar thing. It's called murklor. It's a type of mushroom. They're actually kind of poisonous and will kill you. Yet we still love to eat them.
Yeah, we
And that's
boil the shit out of them.
uniquely Swedish, actually, to eat them.
oh my goodness. I don't think
Years of cultural self-harming behavior, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't think we have an equivalent to that. Well, here's another nerdy question, but it's off the beaten path. So, we all seem to share a fairly common sci-fi lexicon. My question to you is, are there any Swedish science fiction shows that I've obviously never heard of, but are there any, and are they any good?
Oh my God, Real Humans. That was great.
Verkliga människor.
What?
Oh, sorry. Real Humans.
Real Humans. I've never heard of it. That was good?
Damn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I liked the redo of it that BBC did. They just finished up series 3 on it.
I don't trust the BBC. They're terrible doing science fiction.
Yeah, but it had the chick from
What,
IT
you don't
Crowd
like
and her
Doctor
husband's
Who?
on it.
No, I do not like Doctor Who. That is.
Oh my God, have y'all seen the new Doctor Who?
I won't see.
My best friend is totally into Doctor Who, and even she's kind of having issues with the new Doctor, but she sent a picture of the new sonic screwdriver that Jodie Whittaker will be using. It looked like Mother Nature's fucking dildo or something.
So
I'd
obviously,
be surprised.
So obviously the new Doctor Who looks like shit because it's all SJW size. But I'm going to take this a step further and go on. Well, I've already said this before, but I'm going to say it again. So let the record be shown. Doctor Who is an inferior British copy of Star Trek. I don't even know if they time-wise that works out, but that's all it is. It is lame. It is never been something that I think is particularly remarkable, and maybe I'll lose my British fans for this, but oh my God, every episode of Doctor Who, at least that I've ever seen, for going back 4 or 5 Doctors, it's the same thing. The Doctor is this dude, he finds a girl, or now they're playing with that formula, but they go somewhere, they get chased by a horde of something, which is basically just code for zombies, whether they're clock people, whether they're virus people, it's a horde of something changes them through time, and they go back into their ship. And
seriously, y'all, check it. This is the Doctor's new screwdriver. I shit you not. Like I said, Mother Nature's dildo.
What the hell is that?
I told you. I fucking told you.
It looks like a herring, actually.
Well, it does have an oddly resemblance to something. Anyway.
Does it vibrate?
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I've never understood people's fascination with Doctor Who. It's always the same. They travel in time. They can't really move around in space too much. They do all this stuff, but they never seem to accomplish anything. And the stories are incredibly cyclical. Like the same shit happens over and over and over again. But Star Trek was always better. Always. I don't understand what the point of Doctor Who is.
I think you just described my career.
I'm perhaps wondering if you were actually really into Buffy here. I love that stuff.
Love Buffy.
No.
Oh yeah.
How do you not like Buffy?
How can you not?
That's what
Buffy
I'm saying.
is boring.
Nerd fight.
It is.
It's
Oh my God!
like-
What show are you watching?
How can you even watch it? My girlfriend loves Buffy, but I can't.
The
watch
writing
it
is
because it's-
amazing.
No, it's
Yes.
not. It's so goddamn boring,
I
and
don't-
all
I
the
don't-
tropes and everything is like, come on.
It's the difference between a boring show that doesn't know a tone and between a clever show that likes to make a pastiche. That's Buffy. I mean, for God's sakes, they had an episode. They had an episode without any dialogue in it, where it was all silent. That is incredibly
No,
avant-garde.
that is lazy
No, that's
writers.
artsy fartsy.
Oh, I love that episode.
I love that episode. You know what? And this is the thing about science fiction. As much as it unites us, it also divides us.
Come on.
You have right to your
I actually
opinion.
recognize
You're
this.
wrong.
You know that episode when it was silent and those creepy dudes were floating all over the
I
place?
love that episode.
Yes. You know what I actually thought up?
What?
Okay, this is Friday night at a gay bar. Anyway.
It is a lot like that, actually.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, can we all agree Babylon 5 is a work of pure genius? Because if you don't, you should probably stop being friends with me. Okay,
I
good.
agree.
Good. I can stay friends with
I
you.
would say Babylon 5 is probably the best thing that happened to Star Trek.
You know what?
I went there. I went there. JMS, you are vindicated.
This is what I'll say about Babylon 5 and Star Trek. Babylon 5 is what Star Trek would be if Star Trek ever bothered to show a toilet. So,
that's one way of putting it, I guess.
Well, no, I mean, here's the thing. Eventually we did get a solitary reference to, human bodily functions in Enterprise, I think. But it's not so much that I particularly wanted to see a toilet. It's more that when you live in a universe that doesn't actually acknowledge such basic parts of being, a real person, then you get this really kind of abstract and aseptic version of what it means to be a human. And that's fine in certain contexts, but it does severely limit the kind of stories you can tell.
I'm a little more forgiving, but I want to know what...
What'd you say?
You would so love to live in Denmark. I mean, every single kind of Danish movie is kind of like what we would call pissrealism, which means...
That is not to say that I want to see people pooping in Star Trek. I just mean that, people making reference to having upset stomach or real things happen. People get hurt. They have drinking problems.
I just want to know what the 3 seashells are for. That's all I ask.
Yes.
3 seashells? What are you talking about?
Aren't it 2?
Leave this podcast. No, there are 3. It's from Demolition Man.
Yeah,
Still, we'll never know.
There's actually a reference to that in the virtual reality game Lone Echo. Seriously, there's one part where you're exploring the station when it's just completely trashed, and you get into the captain's quarters, and there is a small room in there, the bathroom, and in there 3 seashells. I saw that and I was like, oh my fucking god. But I digress.
Here's a funny thing about Demolition Man. The society they have there, that is actually a possible Swedish future society.
Yeah.
No touching, no swearing, no drinking, no fun. Everything is tone policed, and you have these.
I was going to say, are you going to
shells, and you don't know what to do with them. Yeah.
Are y'all going to wave like this? Remember?
Yeah.
Oh,
seriously. Be well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So are you saying are you saying that Sweden is going to turn into Logan's Run?
Well, we kind of are.
But do you have
just look how we treat our senior citizens. They're the poorest in Europe compared to actually the living standards from the rest of the population. Even a fucking immigrant person who just recently came off the plane has actually more money than your average senior citizen in Sweden.
That's disturbing.
That is heartbreaking and wrong on so many levels.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you can't say that.
No, you cannot say. You cannot utter or criticize it or whatever.
I don't understand. I mean, do you think this comes from the Swedish desire to just be kind under all circumstances, or is it because of liberal oppression?
It comes from, if we're going to really, really dig deep in cultural analysis, it comes from Karl XI and Charles XI, because he invented this kind of like elite band. Think of it like samurais-ish, but Swedish version of it in the 17th century. And ever since then, Sweden has been really, really crypto-militaristic in society. So we always comply to whatever the authorities tells us to do. So that's why we don't really like to criticize the government or anything or anyone else, because we're kind of like, better go with the flow so everything gets smooth. It's kind of like
I totally understand that. We Americans are the same way.
Yeah, no, like it does sound like you're embodying the more Japanese philosophy of.
I told you, Cats. I told you.
Yeah, you are the Japanese of
Japanese of Europe.
What is the expression?
That's actually true.
The tall nail gets beaten down or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I just slaughtered what is actually a very poetic image, but yeah, it's Americans have the opposite problem. We are nonconformists to the point of total lack of cohesion. or at least that's what we like to think. It seems lately we're kind of becoming two different identities that are fundamentally incompatible with each other, and it's really disturbing.
To be honest, I'm just waiting for your next civil war.
I mean, a lot of people are saying we're already in it. I mean, like, we have
judging from my bunker, so am
I. We've got violent extremists on the streets. I mean, granted, there'll never be a war because the United States military is
it's for pussies. Anyway.
Oh yeah. I was trying to think of the appropriate example. I mean, it's sort of like I don't need to be pedantic. I mean, like there's nothing that comes close, not one single thing. So, I mean, if there was an actual uprising in the United States and it actually came down to the military, it would not even be a thing. But there will be a breakdown of civil society.
Time out. Okay, hold on. Let's be realistic here. Let's look at these two sides. First off, you've got people, with shit tons of guns and all that other kind of stuff and drones and all that fun stuff, like me. And then you have people wearing pussy hats.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. But it's not so
different.
It is true.
Yes, what I'm doing, Cass.
Oh, yes. You're engaging in a addictive carcinogenic habit that will shorten your life and possibly contribute to late-term impotence. But hey, you do you.
Yeah, actually, I'm about to do the same. See, there's the thing about this. For every cigarette that we smoke, God takes 10 years off of our lives and gives it to Keith Richards. And we're trying to preserve Keith Richards for our children and our children's children and our children's children's children. And
don't let this treasure of humanity die. Smoke
or
to keep Keith Richards alive.
So, I'll be back in a couple.
Oh my God, I think I'm the only one here who's not smoking.
Yeah, but I can't smoke in the cage, so.
Your kitty, that would be very bad for your kitties.
Yeah.
No, it'd be very bad for me because it'd set off every fire alarm in the place, and I think the whole block would gather around to beat me to death with their shoes. So
that would probably be bad.
Abuela, no.
That would fuck up my summer plans. Let me tell you. So be back in a few.
Oh my goodness. Well,
I actually love how you speak, Cats. I mean, always when you're speaking, every single thing sounds pretty like sexually ambiguous at some point.
I suppose it does.
A lot of weak wrists here.
Oh no, I do not suffer from that particular vitamin deficiency that causes the limp wrist. I know I have a faintly effeminate sounding voice, but I'm actually not.
Well, I mean, it would be terrifically fun if you would perhaps like narrate like horror or something, especially like.
I just don't. I remember you said that, and I know I just don't really think of my voice as being the kind of voice that inspires terror in people. It's easy to make people laugh.
It inspires humor, and that's the thing. I mean, if they're actually kind of
that's not great for creepypastas.
Yeah, I was about to say that. You should read some creepypastas. That would be awesome.
Oh my God, it would be. That would definitely be different. Yes.
I mean, you gotta like the. Okay, here comes the Lord and Master of creepypastas, Mr. Creepypasta. You kind of like have his qualities, but in more like a gay way, so to say.
Oh, thank you. All right, hold on. Let me see. I'm actually looking one up right now. So,
ooh.
All right, I'm just gonna.
I would actually love you to read. I'm a demon and I need your help.
I'm just gonna choose one I'm just gonna choose one randomly and see if this is any good.
The Burger King salad.
I don't know and I don't really know very much about creepypasta at all. Like, is there actually a specific one that I should read?
Yes, I'm a demon and I need your help. That would be awesome with your voice.
Okay, I'm a demon. Wait, oh God, what am I doing?
Sounds like something on Broadway.
Yeah.
Oh, what did I? Oh God, I just did
TV program.
Yeah.
I'm a demon and I need your help.
I'm a demon.
Now on Broadway.
It's kind of like what I imagined you to be if you were a demon for some reason.
Okay, so... All right, here we go. I have never read this before, so, like, you're going to have to forgive me. I'm a monster. I don't mean that in the sense that I'm a terrible person or anything like that. I mean it in the sense that I'm a monstrous hell creature that feeds off human fear and misery. You know,
Perfect. You're nailing it.
Go on.
you may be wondering why I'm writing this to you. It's because I need your help. I'll get into the specifics in a moment, but first I'd like to explain why I need your help at all. About 1600 years ago, some practitioners of black magic discovered an ancient Latin text and summoned me to this plane of existence to do their bidding. Only one of the warlocks, Adriel, I think his name was, messed up the ritual so that I was no longer bound to do their will. Apparently, they wanted me to enact an apocalypse that would destroy the current world order and set them up as leaders. I decided that that was a bit much, so I just slaughtered them all instead.
It sounds like a sitcom. Actually,
It sounds natural to you. That's the creepy part.
What did you say?
It sounds natural to you, so that's the creepy part.
I don't know. Like this is sort of the way I read. I'm glad that it has this effect.
Yeah.
Do you want me to keep going?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we're totally. All right. I might have enacted the apocalypse anyway, but Adriel's screw up caused me to be summoned with only a tiny fraction of my power. Even so, I left Adriel alive, mostly because he seemed like a good lad. He went on to become a baker later on, if I recall correctly.
Okay, I'm back.
So yes, they sent me a creepy pasta to read, and apparently it's hilarious when I do this. I burned the summoning scroll and went back to my plane of existence, where I had been tormenting lost souls with my kids. However, it seemed like I should have killed Adriel after all, because unbeknownst to me, he had transcribed the summoning ritual and bequeathed it to his children after he died. The scroll was lost for centuries, until one of Adriel's modern descendants discovered it in his great-grandfather's attic while preparing for an after-death estate sale. He decided to get it translated out of curiosity, and afterwards he decided that the contents would make a great creepypasta. He even included the original Latin incantation for flavor. This was a few years ago when the fad of ritualistic stories was still booming. To my great surprise and distress, my summoning instructions had become somewhat popular, and at this point, I hadn't been to Earth in over 1,000 years, and I had been summoned by the most powerful of dark wizards. Oh my god, how long is Oh god, this is the birth of a new thing, I guess. Now, every few days,
time with cats.
yeah, oh my, it's creepypasta with our cats gay. Gather, children. Now, every few days, I was being whisked out of hell by some drunk teenager shining flashlights up their face in a bathroom trying to scare each other. You see, a long time ago, when literacy was exceptionally rare, my summoning ritual was extremely complicated. But in the days of booming literacy rates and Google Translate, it's become absurdly easy. Luckily for me, though, Adriel didn't just fuck up when he summoned me, he fucked up when he transcribed the ritual as well, so that I'm not bound to anyone's will when I get summoned. That's a good thing, because drunk human teenagers usually ask me to do some pretty weird stuff. However, I still only get summoned with a tiny fraction of my full power, so I usually just terrify them to their very core before whisking back to hell so that they won't bother me again. That was until Lucy. Last month, some 6-year-old girl found my creepypasta summoning ritual and decided to try it out. By chance, she got the ending right, and I suppose it was bound to happen eventually. It was only a small mistake that Adriel made in the transcription, after all. The problem is that she's not actually evil in any sense of the word. She's managed to summon a demon capable of bringing about the apocalypse, and she has me do things like materialize cotton candy and puppies out of thin air.
It is a sitcom.
I can just see a demon playing Tea Party, you know, with the other stuffed animals. That would be awesome.
Oh my god, possessing the actual stuffed animal. It's actually almost done, so I might as well just finish it at this rate. Her parents are always flabbergasted when they arrive to pick her up from school, and she's surrounded by at least 8 puppies. At this point, I don't even care about destroying humans and feasting on their souls anymore. I'd really just like to go back home. So I'm asking for your help. I need someone here to complete my banishing ritual so I can go back to hell and live in peace. It's actually quite simple. You just draw a pentagram in a mirror, light 7 candles, and read the following words. Oh god, this is going to be terrible. Demonium magister ab antiquido, dono tibi mie copres, gratia libero vos, ego vire inverte vos intra copres mia, ego imolia e mia, nos vene humana cricia, nos apedamos mortes in infernis, prodetat in fin homines, amen. So if anyone could help me out, that'd be greatly appreciated. S. All right, there we go. That is our Cat's Gay very first creepypasta.
Actually, guys, you're brilliant. You should.
Okay. Yeah, this is your famous courtesy I'm speaking, I'm sure. Oh my god, that felt deeply inappropriate on many levels. But who knows? Maybe I will do that again.
A career set for you.
Oh my god! So you know who needs to be doing the whole GGTOW online gay activism thing when I can just read creepypastas semi-ironically?
I don't know.
Just get a hell lot of subscribers for that.
Oh my god, that'd be hilarious if I became famous for that, and then everyone's like, "Oh."
I'm just thinking they were talking in that creepypasta about the ease of Google Translate and stuff like that, and I'm just thinking about some of the old horror stories now. Like a good example with The Ring, I would put that shit on YouTube. I would. Instead of trolling people, I'll be sending them that shit.
But can you imagine though?
Like, you just insult my mama, huh? Here you go. Click.
I'm just with The Ring. I just picture like, what if it had been a smart TV that she tried to do, and like, and she was trapped behind the menu that no one can figure out. She's beating at the screen, trying to get it to change inputs, but she's stuck on HDMI 2. No one else can get it out.
Well, that's a pretty big jump for a species that only 20 years ago couldn't set the fucking time on that VCR,
Well, I have to say, though, there was something just diabolically wrong with VCR technology. Like, how can you take something so simple? It's basically a tape recorder that records pictures and make it so unbelievably abstract. Not even abstract, it's abstruse. There's a word you won't use. Do you guys know that word, by the way? It's a pretty uncommon word.
Yes.
Okay.
No, I've never heard it before.
Okay, yeah. Well, Victor knows it because he's a super nerd like I am. But yeah, abstruse. It's a great word that not many people even in English use. And I'm not saying that as a humble brag. I literally mean no one knows what it is half the time. It basically just means something which is incredibly abstract and difficult to follow.
Now, if you want to talk about something that's abstruse, have you ever written a tech warranty?
I've tried reading them, and I just assumed that they were
seriously. I swear to God. I mean, you could just. I think last time Satan ended up making it to Earth, he just grabbed a stack of those and sent it down to the Immortal Souls department, and it's like, "Here, boys, learn from this."
and then after reading it, they said these people are far more evil than we are. Let's just stay in hell.
Yeah, we're just gonna back it up. We can't do nothing that they aren't already doing themselves.
Speaking of a demon that needs help, anyway.
The apocalypse was delayed today after Satan discovered that MasterCard and Comcast are at least 3 times as evil as he is.
Oh, Comcast. I swear to God, the on-hold music they have is designed to just wear down your will to live. I mean, it takes a fight right out of you.
And
I need to make more coffee. I will still hear you guys. We'll probably make it.
You know what, though? I'd hate to do this, but, I just drove about 500 miles today, and it is, I know it's kind of late for me. I know it's early for you guys. I've really enjoyed meeting y'all. but I kind of want to leave it on a high note, and I'm also nodding off in my chair. So I really want to do this again.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yes, we do. I look forward to being on your channel if that's something you want to do in the future. And you're certainly free to come. Yeah. Oh, great! And you're certainly welcome to come back to mine, provided that we can work out this incredibly complicated trilateral time zone exchange. Like we really need some tachyons in this bitch. Like that's the only way we're going to get this to work properly.
Amazon said the order was delayed. I'm sorry.
Oh my god, Amazon!
God damn it, Farrell!
I told you not to buy bulk.
I know. I am the shame of my family. I really am.
Well, if Star Trek is to be believed in, then you just need to go to Amazon, fire an inverse proton beam, whatever the hell that is, and it will solve everything.
I did. They updated the status. They said that it should arrive last Wednesday.
Okay. All right. Well, for those of you that watched us, thank you. Please share this video. I would urge you subscribe to the Dead Herring podcast. I have their link in the below. GGTOW Beserker, I forgot to put your link in the description. It will be in there later, but you should all check him out. Farrell,
Rude.
What can I say? I actually never loved you. I just brought you here as a foil to my unbearable disdain, so that the guests would believe that I was a nicer person than I am.
Wait, putting me on here, they're not going to believe anything's nice about you. It's like, oh god, it's that guy.
That's true, but if I use you for emotional target practice, they're going to think that they can stay in the clear. They don't know that they're actually doomed now that they're in my life. But that's okay. We're at the end of the podcast now. All right. Well, thank you all, and I will talk to you guys later.
Yes. Tack så mycket.